Hi everyone, Mr. Olin's here. Guess what? It's the summer term now. I am so excited. Do you know what that means? That means new learning is going to happen now. Before Easter, we were doing recapping, which is obviously really important, but now we're going to move forward and tackle some new learning. It is going to be amazing. Now, because we're doing some new learning, the videos are now going to be slightly different. They're going to be structured more like a normal lesson. But don't worry, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be fun, and most importantly, you're going to learn loads. The most important thing is if you are able to, please send in your work to the Year 5 email every day, if you can, remember only if you can, and your teachers can check whether you've understood it or not. If you understand it, fantastic. If you don't worry about it. Just let your teachers know and we can support you so that you really do understand it. Now, Year 5, new learning. I'm ready. Are you? Hello everyone. So I woke up this morning and was like, I really fancy a jam cracker sandwich. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I want to teach these guys how to make a jam cracker sandwich. Bit of a tongue twister there. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is what you need. Some jam, some butter, a knife, 2 crackers, and a plate. Okay, so step 1, get your 2 crackers and place them on your plate like so. Okay, step 2 is to get your butter ready. Okay, pick up your knife, okay, very carefully, and get a bit of butter and put it on one of the crackers carefully. And remember, have an adult with you at all times when you're using a knife, please. Okay, now let's put butter back and put the knife down. Step 3 is to open your jam, pick up your knife, and get a little bit of jam and put it on the top. And put the knife down again, got to be sensible, close the jam. And step 4 is to put the other cracker on top of the cracker with the jam and the butter. And step 5 would be to eat it, but I'm not going to eat it because then I'll be talking with my mouth open, but it is so nice, okay? And guess what, guys? Today in English, we're learning about instructions. I hope you enjoy the lesson, learn loads, and I'll catch you soon. Goodbye.
Right, so what do we need? The first thing we need is something to write with on paper, 2 sides if you can. And then we need 3 sheets. Okay, these can be found on the Year 5 section of the online learning on the Grange website. So the first sheet is the feature of instructions sheet. The next sheet is the recipe for a summer pudding. And the last one is the how to fix a puncture on a monster truck sheet. Okay, now the last sheet is mainly for people in the blue zone, but some superstars may also need this. If you do not have all of these sheets and all this equipment now, please pause the video, go and get everything because it's all very critical to the lesson, and then press play when you're ready to carry on. So, in today's lesson, we are going to be identifying the features of instructions. Your first task is to, at the top of the page, to write the LI and the date. So pause the video, complete the task, and when you are ready to carry on, press play. Excellent, guys. I hope that wasn't too much of a problem. We're now going to move on to our starter. Here we have a sentence. Why did you do that? He asked. Harry was surprised by his classmate's actions. Now, this sentence is missing a piece of punctuation. Okay. Now, the missing piece of punctuation goes where the arrow is pointing. And it's given you 4 options of what that piece of punctuation could be. Could it be an exclamation mark, a full stop, a question mark, or a comma? Okay. Your task is to work out which one it is. And this is how I'd like you to lay it out. I'd like you to write the sentence out underneath the date and li, and put in the missing piece of punctuation where the arrow is now. So pause the video, complete that task, okay, and when you are finished, press play to find out where that piece of punctuation should go. Excellent. So I hope you found that relatively easy, okay, and that was fine. So why did you do that? He asked. Full stop. So we need a full stop. Harry was surprised by his classmate's reaction. Okay. Now we need a full stop as it is at the end of the sentence. Okay. We don't need a question mark because we're not asking a question. The question's already happened before. We don't need a comma because we're not trying to break up a sentence. Okay. We've got 2 separate sentences here, and we don't want a list either. Okay. We don't need an exclamation mark, because we're not trying to emphasize anything. So we're not trying to emphasize anything or be aggressive or excitable, because that's not the point here. Okay, we need a full stop to stop the sentence and begin the next one. Now, if you got that right, okay, please whiz forward 10 or 15 seconds, okay, because I'm going to go through another example with some people who maybe didn't get that correct, just to make sure that they're all good and on track. Okay. So those of you that didn't quite get that right, okay, we're going to go through another example. So here we have another sentence. What time is it, Jerry? He asked. James looked confused. This sentence is missing a full stop. Okay, it's missing a full stop. Your task is to write out this sentence on your page underneath the last example and put in the full stop where you think it should go. Okay, so pause the video and then press play again once you have completed it to find out if you got that correct. Excellent. So I'm sure most of you now have got this right. So what time is it, Jerry? He asked. Full stop. James looked confused. Now we need the full stop because it's the end of the sentence and it signals the beginning of the new sentence. Well done, guys. So welcome back, everyone. It's good to see everybody again. Now, as I said at the beginning, we are going to be identifying features of a set of instructions today. And we're going to be using this set of instructions as our example. So our example is green summer pudding. Okay, now you've got 2 options. Your first option is you pause the video and read this yourself. The second option is you just carry on the video and I'm going to read it for you. So it's completely up to you guys what you would like to do. So green summer pudding. Makes 8 servings, rich, luscious and luxurious. This dessert is supremely sophisticated yet guaranteed to please. The pudding has a unique texture, but it also has a connoisseur's blend of natural yogurt and the tang of a vinegar. Ingredients: 1 litre of yogurt, 200 grams raisins, so G stands for grams, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, so TBSPS stands for tablespoons, 1 tin of garden peas, mint leaves, and lastly chili flakes. Method: 1. First, pour the yogurt into a bowl, thoroughly drain the peas before adding them to the yogurt. 2. Next, add the raisins and whisk the mixture firmly for about 2 minutes. 3. Then finely chop the mint leaves and stir them into the yogurt. 4. After that, put the mixture into a pan and cook on a low heat, stirring occasionally for 5 minutes or until the pudding turns green. 5. Then carefully measure the vinegar and pour into the mixture. 6. Next, transfer the pudding into a serving bowl and with a spatula smooth and level the pudding. 7. Finally, sprinkle the chili flakes on top and place the pudding in the fridge uncovered to set. And lastly, top tip, for variations on this recipe, try using different flavours of yogurt. So we're now going to really zoom in on this set of instructions and identify the features. So the first two features we're going to identify are the title and an opening sentence to encourage the reader to have a go. So a title is important because it tells the reader what the instructions are for. Okay, so if you're looking at the instructions, you know it's for a green summer pudding. And the second feature we have here is an opening sentence to encourage the reader to have a go. Okay, now this is important for two reasons. The first reason to have an opening sentence is because it gives a summary of what the instructions are going to be about. And the second reason is to really engage the reader. Okay, so if we now have a look at these two features on our actual example. So if you look at the top, the green summer pudding is our title. So it's very obvious, and we know that this set of instructions is about a green summer pudding. And then if you look in the yellow, that is our opening sentence, introduction, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and remember, it has those two reasons. The first reason, it gives an overview, and the second reason is it engages us. So if we look at the first sentence, it says rich, luscious, and luxurious. Those three words alone, okay, make me want to make this. It just sounds so amazing. Okay, so remember that they're the two purposes of an opening sentence or introduction. Excellent. The next two features we're going to have a look at are subheadings and a list of equipment or ingredients. Now, subheadings are very important because they let the reader know what's going to be in each section, as you'll see in a minute. And a clear list of equipment or ingredients is important because when you're reading instructions, okay, it says that when you're reading the instructions, it tells you what you need. Okay, it tells you, for example, it would be like use a pan to do this, get some peas. Okay, now, if you don't have those things, then you're not going to be able to make it. So it's important at the beginning you tell them what they do need, okay, so that they are able to use your instructions. Now, if you are making some food, you're going to need some ingredients. But if, for example, you're making a car, you'll need some equipment. So whether you're giving ingredients or equipment depends on what the instructions are for. Okay, so if we look at the brown arrow, it's pointing towards the subheading, which is ingredients. So we know this section is about ingredients, and then the red arrow is the set of ingredients that we need. So it tells you exactly what we need to make the summer pudding. Excellent. The next two features we're going to have a look at are bullet points or numbers for each step, and chronological order and adverbs of time. Okay, now when we talk about something being in chronological order, what we mean is that when we are writing our steps for our instructions, okay, we need to write them in order of when they happen. Okay, so we'd start with the first one and finish with the last one. Okay, it's no good starting with the last one because then no one's going to know how to make it. So we start with the first one and slowly build it up. Okay, now to help us, as you'll see on the next slide, to help us to connect each of our steps together, we can use adverbs of time, also called time connectives. Okay, as the example show, like firstly, secondly. So you could put the first step is this, and then the next step is this, etc., etc., etc. And then the top one, bullet points or numbers for each step. This is connected to the chronological order. So we're writing things in order of when they happened. So to help the reader, again, to understand what's the first step, what's the second step, what's the third step, we can put bullet points or numbers, as we will see. Okay. So as you can see, it is in chronological order. Okay, we've got numbers there to help us to show that it's in chronological order. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we've also, if you look at the top, the arrow that's pointing to the word first. So that's our adverbs of time, or also known as time connectives. Okay, so that just, again, helps the reader to know what the first point is, what they need to do next, what the second, third, fourth. Okay, so it just kind of connects all the different steps together. Excellent. So the next two things we're going to look at are imperative verbs, also known as bossy verbs, and adverbs to explain how the action should be done. Okay, now imperative verbs are, or also known as bossy verbs, are very important because, as they say, they boss the person when they are reading the instructions. They tell the person, this is exactly what you need to do. Okay, they're very powerful verbs. Okay, this is very important because when you're reading a set of instructions, you don't want there to be any mystery about what you need to do. You want to just know what to do and when you need to do it and how you're going to do it. Okay, otherwise it may not work. Okay, so you need to be very dead on. That's why imperative verbs are very important. And you've got some examples here like put, mix, twist, add, film. We'll look at some in our example in a minute. Now, adverbs are very important because they explain how each action should be done. Okay, now this is important because we know what we need to do, but we don't know how we need to do it. And if we don't know how we need to do it, then that could cause some problems, as I will show you in the next slide. Okay, so the imperative verbs we have here are add, chop, put, measure, transfer, sprinkle. So they're all the ones in gold. Now, if you look at these, you'll know exactly what you need to do. Okay, you need to add, you need to chop, you need to put, you need to measure. So it's bossing you, the imperative verbs. That's what they're doing. That's why they're called bossy verbs. And if you look in the bold, dark bluish color, where it's pointing, the arrow is pointing at slowly, this tells you how to do that. Okay, so the action is sprinkle, but it's not telling you, if you just said sprinkle the chili flakes, it's not telling you how to sprinkle the chili flakes. So the adverb really explains that well. So it says slowly sprinkle the chili flakes. And this is important because if that wasn't there, okay, how would you know how to do it? What happens if you just start lobbing it everywhere, you start chucking it really quickly everywhere, then it may not work. It may go over it, so it won't be on where you need it. Okay, so the adverbs are really important. They tell you how to perform the action. Okay, excellent. The next two things we're going to, the two features we're going to, key features we're going to look at are technical language and simple steps for each action in the method. Technical language is a language which is specific to the context in which we're writing. Okay, so we are writing here instructions for making a pudding. Okay, so it's important that we use technical language for that, and I'll come on to that in a minute. You'll see examples. Okay, simple steps. We also need to use simple steps for each action here. This is important because if we overcomplicate the steps and make them really hard to understand, the person's not going to know what to do. Okay, so it's really important that we use simple steps so they understand. And remember, you're trying to teach someone something, and most likely you're not going to be there when they make it. All they have is that sheet of paper. So it's so important that they are very, very, very clear. And I'm not sure, I think I may have forgotten to mention this. Technical language is very important because if the person doesn't understand, okay, what they need to do, okay, because you're not using the right language, then it's not going to work. Okay, and I'm going to show you examples of that now. So if we look at the top of the arrow, the red arrow pointing to P's. Okay, P's are a subject-specific technical language. Okay, you see thoroughly drain the P's. You will know what P's are, so you'll know what you need to drain. Okay, if I took that word away and said, first pour the yogurt into a bowl, thoroughly drain small green things. Okay, now you may know that that is P's, but you also may not. Okay, so it's important that you use the right language, the right technical language, so people understand what they are doing. Okay, and if we look at the arrow which is pointing to point 4, this is highlighting that we need simple steps. So if we read this, I'll read this to you. After that, put the mixture into a pan and cook on a low heat, stirring for 5 minutes or until the pudding turns green. That is very easy. It's a very easy step. It's not overcomplicated. There's not too many things going on. So I know exactly what I need to do there. Right, so the last step we have are diagrams or illustrations with labels. Now, before I actually explain this, I've got a question for you. Why do you think that diagrams or illustrations with labels would be important in a set of instructions? Why do you think that? So pause the video, have a think for about 15 to 20 seconds, and then press play, and I will go through it with you. Right, so diagrams or illustrations with labels. Okay, sometimes when we are reading instructions, we may not understand what they're saying. Okay, so if we have a diagram or an illustration attached to that instruction, it may help us to understand it better because we can actually see what we need to do. Okay, so if we look at this example, now the example of the green summer pudding didn't have diagrams, so I've used another set of instructions to show you that. Okay, so if you look at this set of instructions, okay, we have a diagram attached to each step in the instructions. So it shows you what you need to do as well as you just being able to read it. Okay, so that is so important. Okay, so if you also thought that, well done, but if you maybe had a different reasoning, that doesn't mean it's wrong. Okay, it would be interesting to hear what that reason is. So maybe comment on the YouTube video below so I can see, or send us an email on the year 5 email. Excellent. So we have now come to your task for today. So the first task is for both Blue Zone and Superstars. Using the feature sheet, find new examples of each feature and place them in a table. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a look again at the green summer pudding recipe, okay? And you are going to try and find examples, new examples of features, okay? So I'm going to go through one example with you so you understand it, okay? And then you will go off and do it yourself. Right, so step one is to create a table, okay? We have 11 features, okay? So you need a table with 11 columns and rows, okay? Like this, so just copy that table. And so you'll need to pause the video and then restart it again once you have completed this. Excellent. Step two, you're going to pick a feature and write it in the left-hand column. So I have picked a feature here. I've gone to my key feature sheet and I've picked a feature which is technical language. So I'm going to write that in the left-hand column, technical language. Okay, so what you need to do now is pause the video, pick a feature and write it in the top left-hand corner. Excellent. Step three, you now need to find an example of the feature you have chosen. So I chose technical language. So I've found one which is pan. Okay, so I've picked my example. I've now got my example of pan. And then what I'm going to do in the right-hand column next to technical language, I'm going to write in pan. Okay, so what you need to do now is go through all of the features and find examples of them, new examples, not ones that I've used and shown you. Okay, using the green summer pudding recipe. Okay, so enjoy that. Okay, if you are a superstar, that is just your task for today. So please just get on with that. If you are in the blue zone, okay, please pause the video, complete that task. Okay, and once you have completed that, please start the video again, and I will tell you what your extension task is to do. Okay, so whilst I have everyone still here together, okay, I hope everyone has enjoyed that and really understood. I know we've done a bit of this before, but we didn't get to finish it because of the coronavirus. If you have any questions, email the Year 5 email or drop a message on a comment on the video underneath. And I really look forward to seeing your work. Make sure you send in your work because I really want to see it. Okay, because you do loads of good work and I want to give you recognition or maybe just give you a bit of advice how you can improve. Excellent. So goodbye to everyone for now. If you are in the blue zone, please make sure you press play again after you've completed this first task. Excellent. So welcome back just to the blue zone, people. I hope that went well and I look forward to seeing it. So for your last task, okay, this is your extension task, please find the features for another set of instructions. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to do exactly the same thing but for a new set of instructions, and this set of instructions is how to fix a puncture on a monster truck. Okay, so how to fix a puncture on a monster truck. So you should have this sheet. It's on the Year 5 section. So you're going to do exactly the same thing that you've just done here, but for a new set. So well done, guys, and I shall check in with you tomorrow. Adios. Goodbye.